Here's something strange. The average American household earns more money today than at almost any point in history. Wages are up, more people are employed, more households have two incomes, more people have college degrees than ever before. And yet, ask almost anyone how they feel about their finances. Stressed, stretched, behind, like they're running on a treadmill that keeps getting faster. According to a 2023 Gallup poll, fewer than half of Americans consider themselves middle class, the lowest number recorded in over 20 years. And here's the wild part. Many of the people who dropped off that list aren't earning less money. They just feel like less of it reaches them. So what's actually going on? Why does modern life feel financially impossible, even for people who are doing everything right? That's exactly what we're going to break down today. And I promise, by the end of this video, the way you see your paycheck, your expenses, and the whole system around you will never look quite the same. Let's get into it. For most of the 20th century, the middle class had a pretty clear definition. You had a steady job, you owned a home, you could afford to raise a family, take a vacation once a year, maybe put a little into retirement. You weren't rich, but you were stable. You weren't worried about whether the lights would stay on. That was the deal. But somewhere along the way, that deal quietly changed, and most people didn't get the memo. Today, people earning $80,000, $100,000, even $120,000 a year describe themselves as just getting by. They have job titles, college degrees, and full-time salaries, and they still can't afford a house, still carrying student loans into their 40s, still one car repair away from a bad month. This isn't a personal failure, it's a structural shift, one that happened gradually, invisibly, and affected almost everyone who isn't in the top tier of earners. So let's go step by step and understand exactly how this happened and why your paycheck feels like it's shrinking even when the number on your paycheck is going up. Let's go back to the 1970s for a second. In 1970, the median home price in the United States was about $23,000. The median household income was about $9,800. That means a typical home cost roughly 2.3 times a family's annual income. That ratio is called housing affordability, and it's one of the most important numbers in personal finance that most people have never heard of. Fast forward to 2024. The median home price is now over $400,000. The median household income is around $74,000. That's a ratio of more than 5 to 1. Same concept, same dream, but now it costs more than double the relative effort to achieve it. And it's not just housing. The same story plays out with healthcare, education, childcare, and transportation. The fundamental building blocks of a middle-class life have been inflating far faster than wages for the past 40 years. So the first reason nobody feels middle class anymore is simple. The price of being middle class went up a lot, and nobody raised the income to match. Now let's talk about what actually happens to your paycheck. Say you earn $75,000 a year. Sounds solid, right? Let's see what happens after the money leaves your employer. First, federal and state taxes take roughly 22 to 28%, depending on where you live. You're now around $55,000. Then comes rent or mortgage, which in most major cities now consumes 30 to 40% of take-home pay. Let's call it 35%, down to roughly $36,000. Add health insurance premiums, car payments, student loan repayments, groceries, utilities, childcare, and for millions of households, less than $500 a month is left over after covering the basics. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The middle class isn't spending more on luxuries, they're spending more on necessities. And necessities don't give you a choice. You can't skip rent the way you can skip a vacation. This is what economists call fixed cost squeeze, when the costs you have to pay keep rising, while the money left over for saving, investing, or enjoying life keeps shrinking. Now, here's where things get a little uncomfortable, because this didn't happen by accident. Over the last 40 years, a few major structural shifts quietly rewired who gets to build wealth in America. Shift number one, the death of the pension. In the 1980s, most workers with a full-time job got a pension, meaning their employer guaranteed them a monthly income in retirement. Then corporations began switching to 401k plans, which shifted the risk of saving for retirement from the company onto the employee. Most people don't maximize these. Many don't contribute at all. The result? A retirement savings crisis hiding in plain sight. Shift number two, the rise of debt as a lifestyle. Student loans, car loans, buy now, pay later apps, credit card rewards programs. The entire modern financial system has become expert at making debt feel normal, even aspirational. In 1980, total U.S. consumer debt was under $350 billion. Today, it exceeds $17 trillion. That debt isn't sitting in corporate boardrooms. It's living in ordinary households. It's yours and mine. Shift number three, asset inflation. Here's the sneaky one. When the government prints money or keeps interest rates low, the prices of assets, homes, stocks, and businesses go up. But most middle-class families don't own enough assets to benefit. They rent. They don't invest. So they watch the price of the life they're trying to build keep moving further away. The system isn't broken for everyone. It's working exactly as designed, just not for the people in the middle. So how does the average person navigate this? Well, the painful reality is most middle-class wealth strategies no longer work the way they used to. Just work hard and save doesn't work when a savings account earns 0.01% while inflation runs at 4%. Buy a house and build equity doesn't work when you can't qualify for a mortgage because prices outpaced your savings. Get a college degree for a good job doesn't work when the degree costs $60,000 in debt and the job pays $45,000 to start. Every piece of traditional middle-class financial advice was written for a world that no longer exists, and that's deeply confusing for people who followed all the rules and still feel behind. The people gaining ground today are mostly doing two things differently. They own assets and they have multiple income streams, not because they're smarter, but because those are the tools that work in the current system. Let's pull back the curtain on something most financial coverage skips over. A concept called lifestyle inflation, also known as scope creep, quietly destroys middle-class wealth building all on its own. Here's how it works. Every time your income goes up, your spending tends to go up with it. New job, new car. Promotion, bigger apartment. Raise, nicer vacations. It feels like progress. It looks like success from the outside. But if your expenses rise at the same rate as your income, your net worth stays flat. You're earning more and saving exactly the same percentage of nothing. Add to that the power of hedonic adaptation, the psychological phenomenon where humans get used to their lifestyle almost immediately. What felt like a luxury last year feels like a basic need this year. And marketing machines worth billions of dollars exist specifically to accelerate this process. The treadmill isn't just economic, it's psychological, and the middle class is running on both at the same time. Let me introduce you to Marcus. Marcus is 34. He's a project manager earning $88,000 a year in Austin, Texas. By any traditional definition, he is middle class, solidly. But here's his actual financial life. He pays $1,850 a month in rent. His student loans cost him $420 a month. He's been paying for 10 years and still has $27,000 left. His car note is $380. Health insurance through work takes $290 from every paycheck. He has $4,200 in his savings account. Marcus does everything people say to do. He contributes to his 401k. He doesn't eat out every night. He doesn't own designer clothes. He cannot afford to buy a house in the city where he works. He feels no closer to financial security than he did 5 years ago, even though he's earned 2 promotions. Marcus doesn't need to be told to cut the lattes. What Marcus is experiencing is not a budgeting problem. It is a structural cost problem that no spreadsheet can fully fix. And here's the important part. Marcus is not unusual. Marcus is the median. Here are 3 numbers that reframe everything. Fact number 1. In 1971, 61% of Americans were considered middle class. By 2023, that number had fallen to just 50%, and it keeps declining. The middle isn't holding, it's eroding from both ends. Fact number 2, the top 10% of earners in the U.S. now hold 67% of all wealth. The bottom 50%? They hold just 2.5%. This isn't capitalism failing. It's a wealth concentration accelerating at a pace not seen since the 1920s. Fact 3. According to Harvard research, a child born in 1940 had a 92% chance of earning more than their parents. A child born in 1980? That chance had fallen to just 50%. The American dream isn't gone, but it's become a coin flip. So let's land this plane. The middle class isn't disappearing because people got lazy or bad with money. It's disappearing because the cost of the middle class life inflated faster than the incomes meant to support it, because the rules of building wealth quietly changed, because debt became normalized, assets became unaffordable, and the psychological pressure of modern life keeps most people reacting instead of building. So, what do you actually do with this information? Here are 3 mindset shifts that matter more than any budget hack. Number 1, stop measuring success by income. Start measuring it by net worth. Your paycheck is just a number. What you keep, own, and build is what actually determines your financial life. Number 2, treat asset ownership as the goal, not the reward. Even small investments, an index fund, a fractional share, a small business, put you on the right side of the wealth equation. The game isn't about earning more, it's about owning more. Number 3, refuse to let lifestyle inflation consume every raise. Every time your income goes up, commit to keeping at least half of that increase going to savings or investment before your lifestyle adjusts. This one rule over 20 years is the difference between struggling and building. The system is tilted, that's real, but understanding how it's tilted is the first step to tilting something back in your favor. You didn't fail the middle class. The definition of it just changed without telling you. And now you know. If this video connected with something you've been feeling about your own finances, please hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need to hear this. And subscribe, because every week we break down exactly how the financial world works in plain English with no jargon and no judgment. Comment below, do you still feel middle class? I want to know what that word even means to you in 2025. Let's talk about it.